I am Dungeon Master, your guide in the realm of Dungeons and Dragons.
In another one of my videos, I talked about the importance of having a monster manual. Today we're going to take a look at what it takes to build the monster manual in Roll20. So let's go set up a template, do what we need to do, start building a monster manual. I'm your host and DM, Carnivorous Meat. Let's go take a look at that video. Alright, welcome. And today we're going to be going over the monster manual and how I make it. How do I do? First thing you'll need to set up is the monster template. I'm going to walk you through the monster template, and then I've already created subfolders for all the different CRs. So whenever I need something, I can literally just come in here, grab it, and drag it out, and boom, it's pre-made. Here we have a large direwolf. All his stats are there, all his attacks, all his powers, saving throws, and we'll go over that, what all these buttons at the top do. A majority of this can be done on a free account. I'll let you know when we get to the part where you need the pro account for a couple of the APIs, a couple of the added features. So first we have to decide what monster we're going to create using our template. But first we have to set up the template. So on the template, it literally is going to be a blank generic shell of everything that we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the character sheet. I'm using the 5e companion worksheet in NPC sheet mode for my monsters. You can use whatever sheet you want. The references might be a little different when you come to the macros, but I'll show you how to get those macros. It lays out very similarly. Okay, so for my template, I literally just called it template. I gave it the base generic stats here. So 10 straight down, medium, whatever, just filled in the blanks with generic nothings. Everything is blank, none, no special skills or whatever. And it has a single attack. And I put in a single attack because I want the to hit and the to damage to be there so I can copy and paste that later. And you'll see what I mean. Okay, going back, like I said, the important thing for the template is going to be here in attributes and abilities. This is where you're going to set up all your hotkeys and buttons so that you don't have to dig into every single character sheet once you have your monster built. And what I've done, you saw earlier on the character sheet, I have a single byte. Now, the way to figure this out, if I go here to my journal and I use this ability, you can do this on your character sheet, it should work the same way. If I use it, it's going to roll the byte for this character sheet. Okay, but then if I go into my chat box here and I hit up arrow, it's going to tell me what it did. Okay, and I can either grab this and move it into my macro that I'm going to put here, or as I've done, you can figure out NPC action 1. That's what this character sheet calls this button. So when I use NPC action 1, it's going to roll this button, and that's a little harder to figure out. But it's things you can find. Like I said, if you need, you can go into the up arrow. Whoop. There it is on here. And all I would need to do is grab this, copy it, bring it down here. And if it had, you know, attack, a slam attack in the second position, I could put that there and give it a number 2, and now it will roll that slam attack when I push this button. I'm not going to need that for my specific, so, and this is my template, so I don't want to add to my template currently. So for multi-attack, usually something will have like a claw or claw bite, and you can put those in here in multiple rows, making sure you hit carriage return in between each one just like you did when you added a new one. For initiative, I do the same thing. I roll the selected tokens NPC initiative, which is this button, and it's going to roll a d20, and it's going to add the initiative bonus to it. And it's also going to add it to the tracker, which is really nice. Okay, secondary stats. Now I've broken the character sheet up into small groups, and in secondary stats, you can see this one's a little more convoluted. But what it's going to do, it's going to pull up. I'll show you some of these buttons. After we've created a monster, you can see what we've done, so you can correlate the information to the buttons. It'll make more sense. So let's go ahead and build a monster. My buttons are gone here, so I'm going to reopen my template. Never type into your template. Try to edit it once you've built it. What you want to do is once you have a template, you want to edit it. You want to duplicate it, and then back out of your template. That way you don't screw up your template. And what that's going to do, that's going to create a copy of your template. And this one we can totally mess with. So we're going to go in here, and the monster I've chosen for today will be a rust monster. Now I build monsters as I go, and I just haven't built a rust monster yet. So I decided it's fairly common. It has some abilities, so we can see all parts of the character sheet when we do this. So I figured it was a good option here. So what we want to do, this is the monster manual entry from the book. So what we want to do, we want to transfer all this information onto our character sheet. So in order to do that, I literally just top down. We're going to go to the character sheet. We're going to go name, rust monster, and I have everything whispered on the GM sheet. I would like to do some GM rolls, some not GM rolls, but when I need perceptions, hidden things like that on certain monsters, I can't split the dice. Some are GM, some are not, so I leave them all at GM Whisper. That's your preference. Here we have an AC of 14, so I'm going to add AC of 14. It's natural armor, so by default, I already had natural in there. Hit points is 27. Now here, it's going to be a little bit tricky, and you'll see later in the video why. But for here, current hit points, go ahead and put this first number right here. Okay, so I'm going to put 27, and its max is 27. But then over here under hit point hit die, this is where I want to put what's actually in the parentheses. And this will make more sense later for one of the references you'll have. So we're going to have 5d8 plus 5. There we go. And then here we have speed is 40, so we're going to speed 40. Now we have the stats, so we're going to put those in. And notice, whoop, not 133. Okay, so once those are in, it's going to set all my stats, going to set all my saving throws, and all that's going to be filled in. All right, the next thing we have is senses dark vision. So here under senses, I'm going to put dark vision 60 feet. Passive perception is 11. Now that's based off wisdom, which is a 1, and that should have auto-filled down here, giving my wisdom bonus of 1, and my passive perception is 11. So I don't have to modify anything for that. Languages is none, so I'm going to take away the one language. And it is a 1/2 challenge rating with 100 XP. So basically the entire top half of this is already done. And it's that quick. Down here, if it does have resistances, vulnerabilities, whatever, we're gonna fill those in, and they're usually listed right up here near the top somewhere. This specific creature doesn't have any. So now the iron scent and the rust metal are traits that this creature has. So I want to put that here on traits. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy all this here. Okay. And I'm going to drop it here. And then structuralize it, however. So I try to take out all the carriage returns in between each session so that when it resizes, it you see it resizes itself and it doesn't screw up the order of stuff. And that'll come important too when you reference it later, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, for Rust Monster specifically, it only has the one attack, which is, so I'm not going to add a second attack to it, but I'm going to come down here to its attack. Now this one has a bite, so we defaulted to bite. Its attack is a +3 to hit. So on here to hit, I always have it roll twice. If it has disadvantage, advantage, whatever, it's already rolled. If it doesn't, I just take the first one on the left. But so that it doesn't have to ask me every time, I just put those in there. Always gives me 2. So over here we have the damage, which is going to be piercing damage, 1d8 + 1. So I want to set this up as 1d8 + 1. Piercing damage. Now the crit bonus on this one, like I said, because I'm creating a not normal bite attack, the crit bonus, because I don't know if it's going to crit or not, I'm not having it auto tell me that it's a crit. But I know that a crit bonus is the dice that have been rolled for damage. So in this case, it's an additional 1d8. There are no additional attacks for this creature, but it does have this antenna touch. Now I can either add the antenna touch to here and have antenna, put the description of what happens, the effect of, you know, the rusted save or whatever. But actually I prefer to put non-actual things like that up here. I'm going to put it up here under traits. So I'm going to take this antenna warning or function, and I'm going to put it here in traits as another part of its ability. And again, I've sized all the text so that it fits. In fact, that needs to be a 1. Okay. And that needs to be a 1. So there we go. And normally I will attempt to find all dice rolls that happen in here and turn them into dice rolls. So if it said you had caught in a damage of 1d6 damage, I would convert the verbiage of the 1d6 damage into a roll box, which would look like this. It would be bracket, bracket, 1d6, bracket, bracket, and then it would roll that 1d6 in that spot instead of saying from 1 to 6. But now I have this entire monster block already in here. So basically we're done. Okay, if I did have a second attack, I would come back here. I don't have a multi-attack, so I can go ahead and get rid of that one. So yes, we're going to delete that, and I don't have a secondary attack. So there was no need to add an attack down here. But now my buttons are gone here again, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out and reopen it. And here's our Rust monster now filled out. We can get rid of the monster block. And now we're going to deal with the character sheet and assigning a token and getting this thing to work. Now, I have already built a token for this. You can get your tokens however you want. I use Token Tool myself, and I've already built a token. So here's my token. It was a medium-sized creature. So we're going to make it 5 by 5, which is a medium-sized creature. And now we're going to put the character sheet into this monster. And it's actually fairly easy. We come up here and we tell it we want it to be the Rust monster. And now, if you want to show your name, I would show my name. Now for me, the green bar in my campaign represents AC. So I'm going to fill that out. I'm not going to use these pull downs to assign the stat to the token, because I want every token to be unique, and there's a reason for that. Because if I assign these to a token and I kill the monster, I will kill every monster who is assigned to this character sheet. So if I have 2 rust monsters and I damage one, the other one will damage automatically if I have these assigned. So I want each one to be individual. Do not assign these stat bars, but I can put in the amounts. So my AC is 14, and I use red for health, and my health is 27 by 27. So that's going to create a health bar for 27 points and an AC of 14. Now, this by itself is good enough. I'm done. So all I need now is to come here. I will edit bioinfo. I will remove the avatar here. And you'll notice over here on your library tab, since I had just loaded in the rust monster, I mean, there's rust tokens already existing here. There. And there's the rust monster from my library. I will find it, and I will give it that avatar picture. That way, in my monster manual here, under my journal tab, all my monsters, I don't have anything, pick the one. I can kind of see, that's what shows up here. This is the graphic that is in your avatar is what shows up in your graphic here. But I want to go ahead and target my token and use the selected token. I'm not quite done with it yet though. Because if you remember, the character had dark vision 60 feet. So we need to assign that to the token. So we're going to come over to advanced. It has sight. It has 60 feet. Dim light starting at 1, 2, which is dark vision basically for creatures in Roll20 up to 60 feet. So if I would have had a reach or something like that, I would have used my Aura 2. Notice my Aura 2 is not set. I would have used Aura 2 to show reach on my character. That's just the way I do that. But now that the token is totally complete, whoop, I didn't save it. Oh yeah, it's saved. Okay. I can attach it to the character sheet. So we're going to come over here, we'll do the edit, and we will use the selected token. And we will save changes. And now I have a monster. It is completely done. It is a CR 1/2. So what I've done, I have all my creatures here broken up into CR ratings. I will open up my CR 1/2 and I will tuck him away right where he goes. And now I have him. And whenever I need that character sheet, I can either, when I want him, I can just pull him out, land him on the character sheet, boom, I have a rust monster, and then by hitting shift and clicking him, I can pull up that entire character sheet if there's any questions I have. And I have all the attributes that were in the monster manual on this character sheet somewhere. So I have full reference. But here's why we did some of the things we did. Okay, the buttons I have at the top, and I'll go over these on the character sheet too. Let me open the character sheet back up. Nope, the character sheet, not the... There we go. I'm going to go over some of these macros, and I'll show you what they do. Like I said, notice we have bite, which was the NPC action 1. Now when I hit bite, it's going to do that first attack roll. And you'll see here, when I hover over the to hit, it's 18 plus 3, and that plus 3 was the plus 3 on the character sheet, the strength modifier for attacking. And then the damage is the 1d8 plus 1, and then if it had crit, I would have added another 1d8, which is here. So it didn't crit, it only rolled a 21, so I would have only have done 9 damage, and then I will apply 9 damage to whatever it attacked. And that is bite. To initiative, again, it's right there. By hitting that, it will roll initiative and add it to the roll counter automatically based on its roll. It rolled a 1, it gets a plus 1. So that's what it would have gotten. I'm going to go ahead and reset my tracker, get rid of that. Perception. Now what I've done here in perception I'm having it make a perception check. Now, by default on the character sheet, this one is a GM roll, so I just have it do a perception check. And then in a template box, I have it tell me it's passive perception, just in case I need a passive perception if they're trying to sneak on or something like that, and it's not actively looking for them. So I do both. So what this button creates is an actual roll, a perception roll off the character sheet, as per normal. And then it gives me a quick highlight. Notice I've built a template here for the macro. The default, I'm going to call it passive perception, which is here. And then the squigglies, I'm just going to say passive perception. And I'm going to grab the passive perception box off of here. So, and to find that, you would go here, scroll down until you found what you were looking for, and you would have to find it. It just tells me both when I need it. Now on saves was a little trickier because this macro is a bit busy, but it's not the busiest. Okay, basically when I roll saves, it is going to create a template. It's going to roll the saving throws, and then it's going to give me a strength save, and then it's going to roll once, and then outside it's going to show a hard bar, and then it's going to roll twice. And then here is a carriage return, or excuse me, not a carriage return, but a second set of double squigglies, dex save, 2 dex mods rolls, close double squiggly, open double squiggly, con, and it's going to go down and do them all. So what I end up getting is a saving throw. So no matter what it needed to save, I have advantage or disadvantage roll, take the left if not, and it rolled one of everything. I don't have to ask myself or whatever. I just, boom, there's its roll. If you have 3D dice on, this will look crazy on your screen because it will roll 12 dice, 12d20, but you're only after the 1, maybe 2 of whatever you're looking for. So all we're doing is a quick saving throw, so I don't have to go get that. Now for stats base, all this is going to do is pull up literally his base stats and the modifier scores. So on this one, all I've done is core stats. All I've done is gone in and I've hit this button, which gives me this chart. It's built into the character sheet. If I needed to, I could create a template and be, hey, I need strength. I would reference this box, and then I would reference this box. And that's all you have to do, and do that for each of the stats. And then we have stats secondary. Now here's the one, this one and traits are the two that I actually use the most. Stats secondary pulls up the basic stuff about the creature that's really useful to know. And all it is a macro that goes into the character sheet and grabs all these small pieces of information. And here's why I said you wanted to hit die there in that one spot. So on the character sheet where it says type, I have it ask me here where it says type equals its NPC size and its NPC type. So it's going to the character sheet and it's grabbing these 2 data fields and it's giving it to me. It's a medium humanoid. So, you know, you have a paladin that has a bonus against fiends. I can instantly see if it's considered a fiend or if it's considered undead for a cleric to turn or something to that effect. Hit dice CR and XP. This is really useful when delivering XP, or I need who has the lowest XP for a sleep spell or something like that, who has the lowest hit points or something. This is a quick way to reference that and go find it. I can see that it speaks no languages, so they can't talk to it. You know, the same thing here, the AC, it's grabbing both this box and this box off the character sheet and giving that to me. Senses, it's grabbing everything that's in this box. If it has dark sense and blind sense and true sense or whatever, it would put all of those here. It's just grabbing all the information from this box here. Speed, fly, and climb. One at a time, it's grabbing speed, fly, and climb. Swim is pretty rare, and there's even burrowing. What I'll do usually is if it burrows like here I'll put, burrow 60 feet under this. And then watch what happens when I hit the button again. If I go secondary, if I put it here, if I hit the button again, there we go. It'll tell me I have a burrow speed. Normally something doesn't have all of the types, but you can have it be, all you need: fly, climb, and for whatever reason it's not giving me swim. It should be giving me swim also. And I'll have to look into that, I guess. So that's the quick one. Now this next one is going to be traits, and it's going to give me everything in this box, which kind of looks like a lot. And when you get into your dragons and your bigger monsters like that, you're going to have legendary actions and layer actions and all that. And usually I put all that in the traits box too, and it does get kind of long, especially for your chat to scroll out. But when I hit traits, basically it gives me everything. I have it, any vulnerabilities to attacks. I have it referencing my traits. Here we go. It's hitting the traits button, which is built into the character sheet, which is this button. But if I needed it, I'm just saying, I'm going to build a macro that gives me this box here, gives me this box here, gives me this one, gives me this one, and gives me this one. That's really all this is. It's a small macro that just shows me this area of the character sheet. Okay. But notice here's, iron scent. It tells it to me. The rusted metal, it tells it to me. Here. And then that antenna power, the actual ability to rust here. If anything, I hit you with it. What was the DC for that? Oh, it's right here, DC 11 Dex, to save versus be in touch. It's all on the character sheet, and I don't have to pull up the character sheet to do it, because I have all of these set as being a token action, and that's what causes this top line to pop up. And anytime I target it, World Wild Surge, that's just a thing going on in my campaign right now. That's not on the character sheet. That's a universal. And ZZ End Turn is actually a universal that I have for a different macro for when I have for my turn marker API that runs. Now, if I bring out a new monster and I truly want to have all of them unique, what I can do is I can go here to secondary, stats secondary, and I can see it's a 5d8 plus 5. Okay. And here, I'll roll this to myself. GM roll 5d8 plus 5. What I can do if I really wanted to, it's a 24, which is different from a 27. Okay. So I can go into my character sheet. I can be like, this one is a 24. It's not standard by the book. And then, I have another one. It has a 23. So let's say I have multiples of this. This one has a 23. And because they're not attached to the character sheet, this one has a 23. This one has a 24. And they're both within the rolled limits. They're both a little different, so that when you have those metagames, he's got exactly 57 hit points or whatever, you can kind of stir that up. Some might have more, some might have less. And that's all the buttons at the top that are creatable that I do, that you can do for a free account. I have two more, the two buttons, the set token and the set vision, but you need a pro account for that, and the API that's used for that is the token mod API, and I'll show you what they do. The first one is set token, and if you notice, it's all token mod commands, literally. So what I'm doing is, if whatever's wrong, it's a brand new token, it may not have all of these settings set up the way I want them, okay, by the default. So I go through and I set all of the things I want as default. So let me leave that open so we can look at this. So here I want use the API. We're going to show name yes. So what that does is that clicks this box to yes. Show player's name, yes. So we're going to go here and we're going to set this to yes. Show players bar 1, 2, and 3, yes. We're setting these 3 check marks to yes. Player edit to yes, 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 all the way down. Aura 1 yes and Aura 2 no. So basically, I'm turning all these boxes on except for this one. I'm leaving that as a no because, like I said, I use that as my private range detector on different tokens. And so we have all these that set those boxes for me. Then we have set bar value to AC. And what that's going to do, that's going to lock this in. If I hadn't typed it in, it's going to grab the AC off the character sheet and set that in bar 1 in my AC slot. Now, here is the part of the API where it pays off, where I showed you can have different monsters with different hit point amounts based on the hit die, actually rolling the hit die instead of taking the default. And that's what we're doing here. We're going to set bar 3 selected. We're going to set it to NPC HP hit dice. And we're not setting it to amount. What we're setting it to is this dice roll. And so now every time I hit set token, not only is it setting all of these check marks for me, but it's going to roll this box. So when I hit, notice it went to 34, 30. It's rolling the 5d8 plus 5 and putting that in the character sheet. It didn't update here, but if I cancel and pull that back open, it's there. It is there. If I close it, see, token, it went from 32 to 20. So now it's down to 20 for the, and because I didn't connect it to the character sheet, I'm not editing any other monster. I'm only editing that one. So if I have multiple and they're copy pasted out here, let's see if I can separate them enough to see what's going on here. So they all have 20 hit points, but you don't want to be, that whatever. So we're going to speed it up. We're going to say, okay, that one's got 26. We're going to highlight that one. We're going to set his token. He's got 28. We're going to highlight that token. We're going to set it. He's got 31. The players won't even know the difference, but he has 11 more hit points. He's going to take a whole nother attack. Oh, he was easy to kill. Well, he's not so easy to kill. And so that's a quick way to do that. Another is my set vision. If I had forgot to set vision, this also uses token mod, and it sets light, has sight. So it's going to come here, and it's going to click this as yes or no. And notice I have sight, and it's going to ask me the question, does it have sight? And it wants the answers, yes or no. Now, hard bar yes, space, hard bar no is a pull down menu. You have to have the space after the no for it to work, but this will be a pull down menu where I absolutely have to pick one of those two options. It's not going to let me type it in. It's going to be a pull down. And then we're going to go to light multiplier, low light or dark vision is a 2. The default is 1 for normal vision. And then the light radius, if there's a dark vision radius, true sight radius, something like that, it defaults to 60. Most monsters have a 60. And then light dim radius is 55. And that's going to set this box. So I'm starting at 60 and I'm going to 55. Normally I set that to 1. So we'll just change it to 1, whatever. But what that button does is if I want to change the vision, let's say, oh, they blinded it. I can change the vision. Does it have sight? I can just say, no, it doesn't have sight. And then it doesn't matter what I change it to afterwards. I've blinded it. And like I said, it doesn't show it here, but if I close it and open it, it will have unchecked site. But then here on this one still has site. So by not connecting it to the character sheet, I can keep them separate. I can keep them working. But let's say this one regains site. Okay, I don't have to come into this. I can set vision. Like I said, here's the pull down for yes, no. It does have sight. Okay. It does have the dark vision. It has 60 feet, which the dim radius starts at 1 for dark vision. And notice I didn't save that. It just put it into the token. It has sight. It has 61 again with a multiplier of 2. And all that is built in, and that's just the API of token mod at work. And now you have a Rust monster that you can use whenever you need it. And once you've built it once, you never have to build it again. And you can either go through the entire monster manual if you have the time, build all the monsters you want. I would suggest organizing where you can find them, but like I've done by CR here, so I know. Oh, I have a random encounter. The group is CR8. I can come here to my CR8. Oh, what do I have? Oh, I have a Hydra here. I'll just hit them with a Hydra. And there's a pre-made Hydra already existing. And notice he has all of the buttons also. So when it comes down to him, I have my base stats. And here's the base stats on a Hydra. Secondary stats, same, just like the other one. They look the same. And here's what a Hydra can do. It can hold its breath. It has multiple head attacks. It has a reactive head, which means it gets basically free attacks of opportunity, and it's wakeful. It can't be put to sleep unless you put every single head to sleep. But I had made that prior, and now number of heads. See, I've put a default on this token. For this one, this is what I use my blue for, is if there's a note or something that applies to this. So if it had 5 heads, I would change this block to 5 so I knew how many heads were on that Hydra. And by clicking it, I can see, oh, boom, it's got 5. So, but it has all the other same buttons, just like every other monster, because of my template, because of how I have it set up. And realistically, you can put a monster in a few minutes once you have their stat box, and it's just transferring the data into your template, setting up your buttons the first time on your template, and once they reference your character sheet, it's done. It just needs this specific monster's ability scores. So that's how you set up your monster manual in Roll20. Have a good one.